Hello everyone and welcome to our Prevent update session for Sydney Stringer Academy staff. My name is Olaide Akindele and I'm the designated safeguarding lead. Today's session is designed to update you on current threats, refresh our procedures and work through a detailed scenario that will help you recognize when student behavior might be moving from normal curiosity into areas of concern. This training is mandatory for all staff, and I'll be providing you with practical tools and knowledge you need to fulfill your legal duties while keeping our students safe. It is important to remember that safeguarding is everyone's responsibility. A good principle to adhere to is to recognize that it does happen here and it could happen here. Prevent is about protecting our students from harm, just like any other aspect of safeguarding. Your professional awareness and willingness to share concerns helps us to keep our school community safe. By the end of this session, you will have a clear understanding of the current threat landscape, know exactly how to report concerns at Sydney Stringer, and feel confident about recognizing patterns that might indicate a student is being drawn towards extremist thinking. We'll spend most of our time working through a realistic study that shows how conspiracy theories can act as a gateway to extremism, something we are seeing more and more in schools like ours. As part of our safeguarding training, we are reminded of how we safeguard children within our care. Prevent falls under this responsibility. It ensures that we are taking action to enable that all children have the best outcomes. Before we dive into practical aspects, let's be absolutely clear about why this matters legally. Under Section 26 of the Counter-Terrorism and Security Act 2015, every single member of staff in this school, teaching and non-teaching, has a statutory duty to have due regard to preventing people from being drawn into terrorism. This isn't optional. It's not something that only applies to senior staff or designated safeguarding leads. It's a legal requirement that applies to you personally. When Ofsted inspectors, they specifically check whether staff have the knowledge and confidence to fulfill this duty. Your understanding of these issues directly impacts our school's safeguarding rating. You might wonder why schools are so important in preventing extremism. The answer is simple. We see students for over 6 hours every day, 190 days a year. We notice changes in behavior, attitude and thinking that parents might miss and that happen gradually over time. Students often trust us enough to share concerns or ask questions they wouldn't ask at home. And crucially, when we have multiple staff observing the same student, we can build a complete picture of changes that might concern us. Here's a statistic that brings this home. 71% of channel referrals, that's the government's program for people at risk of extremism, involve people under the age of 25. Many of these are in the 13 to 18 age range, exactly the students sitting in our class. You can pause the video here to consider the slides. The slide details the breakdown of channel referrals for this year. I want you to know that your vigilance and professional judgment have already made a real difference here at Sydney Stringer Academy. We've prevented several young people from going down harmful paths through early intervention. Your willingness to share observations and concerns has protected not just individual students, but potentially their future victims and our wider community. This isn't theoretical. Your awareness and actions save lives and futures. Let's look at what's changed since our last training. Nationally, the threat level remains at substantial, meaning an attack is highly likely. More concerning for us in education is that referrals from schools have increased by 15% in the past year. The peak rise age has shifted younger. We're now seeing concerning behavior in students as young as 13, with the highest risk in the 13 to 16 age group. That's years 8 through 11. Students you might teach every day, see every day. Locally here in Coventry and Warwickshire, intelligence suggests increased far-right activity, specifically targeting schools. We're seeing recruitment attempts through gaming platforms, and there's been a notable rise in incel ideology concerns among secondary school age children. Let's talk about some emerging trends you need to be aware of. First, gaming platforms have become significant recruitment spaces for extremist groups. We now have intelligence about Discord servers specifically targeting UK students, Minecraft servers run by people with extremist views, and systematic grooming happening through voice chats during gameplay. Students are making friends across different platforms who gradually introduce extremist ideas. You might notice students using new gaming technology they haven't used before, being secretive about their online friends, or showing changes in their gaming preferences. These would be early indicators worth noting. Please take a moment to consider the slide. The second major trend is AI-generated extremist content. This is particularly challenging because the material looks professional and convincing. We're seeing deepfake videos of religious leaders or political figures apparently endorsing violence. AI-generated propaganda that looks like it came from legitimate news sources, and content that's personalized to target individual students' specific interests or vulnerabilities. This means students might share what they believe is credible evidence for extremist views, but which is actually manufactured content designed to radicalize them. It's becoming much harder for young people to distinguish between real and fake material. Please be rest assured that our tutorial and PSHE contents guide children through identifying deep fake videos. The third trend that's particularly concerning is students moving between different types of extremism. We used to think that someone drawn to far-right ideology would stay there, but that's no longer the case. A typical pathway might start with gaming, move into anti-feminist sentiment, then into conspiracy theories, and from there branch out into incel ideology, far-right extremism, or anti-government sentiment. This means we can't assume that because a student shows interest in one type of extremist thinking, they will stay within that ideology. Early intervention is even more critical because the pathways are more unpredictable. This is where we need your help. Following the school's reporting process means that we are able to gather critical information and intervene very, very quickly. Pattern recognition across subjects and staff is more important. A reminder that if you have a concern, you need to act immediately. You need to follow the policy and procedure. You need to take action. Don't presume somebody else will. Before we look at our detailed case study, let me give you an overview of the main types of extremism we're concerned about based on current referral statistics. Right-wing extremism accounts for 65% of channel referrals. This includes white supremacy, racial nationalism, anti-immigration sentiment, and conspiracy theories about population replacement. Islamist extremism makes up for 24% of referrals. This involves violent interpretations of Islam, anti-Western narratives, and sometimes attempts to travel to conflict zones. Other forms of extremism account for 11% of referrals. This includes incel ideology, single-issue extremism around environmental or animal rights causes, and various anti-government conspiracy movements. What we are going to see in our case study is how conspiracy theories can act as a gateway into any of these different types of extremism. Before we look at the case study, let's consider a few scenarios. Imagine a student is showing another student a video on their Chromebook of a religious leader apparently endorsing violence. It looks very professional and convincing. Please don't try to verify authenticity yourself. Focus on the student's response to the content. Document what the student has said about it on CPOMs, or speak to a DSL if you're unsure. Report regardless of whether the content is real. Another scenario that you might come across is a student who has changed friendship groups, has started using different language, and mentions research they're doing across multiple online platforms about Eden truths. We definitely need multiple staff observations to intervene. Pattern more important. Recognizing patterns is more important than a single incident. We need to intervene at the earliest opportunity. We need to balance the support and the surveillance. So we definitely need you to report and record anything you see or observe on CPOMs. Please remember that all reports need to be factual. Now we're going to work through a detailed scenario about a fictional Year 11 student I'm calling Jordan. This case study is based on real patterns we see in schools, and it shows how someone can move from normal curiosity about current events to holding genuinely concerning extremist views. We'll follow Jordan's journey over 7 weeks, and I want you to think about when you would start to be concerned and when you would take actions. We're going to work through a detailed scenario about a fictional Year 11 student I'm calling Jordan. This case study is based on real patterns we see in schools, and it shows how someone can move from normal curiosity about current events to holding genuinely concerning extremist views. We'll follow Jordan's journey over 7 weeks, and I want you to think about when you would start to be concerned and when you would take action. There will be decision points along the way where I'll ask you to consider what you will do. Let's start at the beginning. In weeks 1 and 2, Jordan's ICT teacher notices that for a media studies project, Jordan is researching what they call alternative news sources. Jordan mentions that mainstream media doesn't tell the whole truth and shows interest in YouTube channels about hidden history. The quality of Jordan's work remains good. It's just the choice of sources that's different. Jordan's form tutor notices that during registration discussions, Jordan is asking more questions about government policies and making comments like, "There's more going on than they're telling us." Jordan is still engaging normally with his peers. There's no concerning behaviour. He just seems more politically aware than before. If this was a student in your class, would you be concerned at this stage? Most of you would say no. This looks like normal teenage curiosity about politics and media, and you'd be right to take that view at this point. Let's see what now happens in week 3 and 4. Now, Jordan's history teacher is becoming concerned. For example, during lessons about 9/11, Jordan challenges the curriculum content referencing Building 7 and controlled demolition theories. Jordan cites specific conspiracy theories websites as evidence and becomes argumentative when presented with the official historical account. All the students are starting to ask questions about Jordan's claims. In English, Jordan's creative writing is now focusing on themes of Eden controllers with characters who discover the truth that others cannot see. Jordan starts using terms like shipple to describe people who believe mainstream narratives and talks about awakened people who can see true lies. The quality of his writing is still good, but the content is becoming concerning. Jordan visits the library. He wants to borrow books. He's printing articles about false flag operations and researching historical conspiracy theories. Jordan is asked about accessing banned books and censored information. As your level of concern changed, what patterns are you starting to see emerge? By week 5 and 6, we're seeing clear escalation. Jordan joins PSHE. His teacher is alarmed because Jordan claims COVID was planned and vaccines are part of a population control. Jordan references the Great Reset and New World Order theories and is showing videos to other students about elite cabals. Jordan is becoming isolated as peers find his views extreme. In his sociology lessons, Jordan's essay now blames specific ethnic and religious groups for controlling society. Jordan uses anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about globalists and references white genocide and replacement theory. Jordan is citing far-right websites as if they were academic sources. The pastoral theme alerts me that other students are reporting Jordan trying to red pill them. That's a reference to a conspiracy theory culture. Jordan claims to be part of online groups fighting the system and mentions attending local truth-telling meetings. Jordan's parents have contacted the school because they are now concerned about their child's new online friend. Our ICT technicians flag that Jordan is accessing encrypted messaging platforms, following accounts linked to extremist movements, sharing conspiracy content across multiple social media platforms, and researching local political figures and events. From a safeguarding perspective, we are now seeing a clear pattern of concerning behavior across multiple contexts of staff observations. I want you to pause at this moment. How many of those teachers would have recorded what they were concerned about or what they're noticing on CBOMs? Imagine if one of those teachers had failed to report any of the concerns listed above. How would that change our assessment of the situation? By week 7, we have clear indicators that would definitely warrant a Prevent referral. Jordan posts on social media about acceleration and collapse, the specific terms used in extremist circles. Jordan makes comments about weak people deserving what's coming and references historical extremist figures such as truth tellers. Most concerning, Jordan expresses the view that violence might be necessary for change. At this point, this is definitely a safeguarding concern that requires an immediate DSL involvement and likely a channel referral. What Jordan's story illustrates is what we call the conspiracy theory pipeline to extremism. It typically follows 4 stages. Stage 1 involves gateway theories, ideas like mainstream media lies, the government covers things up, or there are even truths they don't want you to know. These seem relatively harmless. Stage 2 moves into specific conspiracies. 9/11 truths, theories, COVID pandemic narratives, and deep fake theories about secret government controls. They might refer to a plandemic. Stage 3 introduces scapegoating, identifying specific groups as responsible for these conspiracies. This often involves anti-Semitic theories about globalists or racial theories about population replacement. Stage 4 is the adoption of full extremist ideology, where violence becomes justified as necessary to fight against those supposed conspiracies. You might wonder why we're so concerned about conspiracy theories in a Prevent context. The answer is that they function as a gateway to extremist communities. Extremist recruiters use conspiracy theories as grooming tools. They provide a bridge between mainstream political discontent and radical ideology. They serve as a testing ground where people can explore increasingly extreme thinking. Psychologically, conspiracy theories are appealing because they provide simple explanations for complex problems. They give people a sense of special knowledge that makes them feel superior to others. They offer community with like-minded believers, and they give people a sense of agency in situations where they might otherwise feel powerless. Different types of extremist groups exploit conspiracy thinking in predictable ways. Far-right groups use anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and great replacement narratives to recruit people who are already suspicious of mainstream institutions. Islamist extremists exploit grievance narratives about Western conspiracies against Muslim populations. Incel communities promote conspiracy theories about feminism and women's rights being part of a broader plot against men. Single-issue extremists around environmental or animal rights causes use conspiracy thinking to justify increasingly extreme tactics. All of these groups use conspiracy theories to help justify violence as reasonable response to these supposed threats. What should Jordan's case teach us? First, that conspiracy theories aren't harmless. They can genuinely be gateways to extremism. Second, that early intervention is crucial before these ideologies become entrenched. Third, that multiple staff observations are vital because no single teacher would have seen the full pattern. And fourth, that we shouldn't dismiss concerning changes as just a phase. Conspiracy thinking can escalate very quickly. Your response should focus on what you should and shouldn't do. You should report concerning patterns to me as DSL, continue providing normal pastoral support to the students, document factual observations, and coordinate with the safeguarding colleagues. You shouldn't try to debate conspiracy theories with students. That often backfires. Don't try to investigate the situation yourself. That's for the safeguarding team. And don't dismiss early warning signs just because they seem minor. Takeaway are these. Your professional judgment is valued. Trust your instincts when something feels concerning. Early intervention genuinely saves lives. It's better to be wrong than to miss something serious. You're not alone in this. Support is available for both you and students. And remember that this is fundamentally about safeguarding. It follows the same principles as any other child protection concern. Should you have any questions, please contact the safeguarding team. Thank you for your attention.